Hello, and welcome to a very, very special episode of Balm and Gilead Flying Duo. I am your normal host, Brian. This is my lovely wife, Renee. She's been on once before, but you've not seen her face.
Hello.
All right, and something cool about today is it is December 3rd, which means we are in the first week of Advent.
It's true.
Technically, I think tomorrow is the second Sunday of Advent. I don't remember all how it works. I don't pay attention.
Right. Well, I know I guess it starts with the Sunday,
Yeah.
but there's 25 days,
Right.
right?
Yes. Technically, it starts on a Sunday, and I haven't done the math. Every time that Christmas is on a Sunday, I always get confused as to when Advent starts. Is the last Sunday the Sunday, or I always forget.
We don't do a very good job with Advent.
Anyway, so what is Advent, you may be asking? Advent is the time that we prepare for the coming of Christ. It represents the 400 years in between Malachi and Matthew, where the long-awaited Messiah was waited for the most. And we remember it now even more because we're waiting for the Messiah to come again. So a lot of the music for the time of Advent tries to tie those two together. But most of the time, I think we just kind of hang out with good Christmas hymns. O Come, O Come, Emmanuel is one that almost everyone sings.
Yep.
So that's what we kind of wanted to talk about today was Advent music. So what are we listening to?
Well, Brian, have been listening to the Balm and Gilead Advent playlist.
Yes.
Whenever the kids will let me. The kids have their own playlist.
They do.
With their own preferences.
Like I want a hippopotamus for Christmas.
Yes.
And you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Which I tried to add to Brian's Advent playlist and was quickly told that it was unacceptable.
Like, could you start your own playlist?
But I don't see what the problem is going from, O Come, Emmanuel to You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah. I don't know why someone
just lump it all together.
Lump it all together. Absolutely. So I started putting together an Advent playlist last Christmas, and I think I really started to get into a good rhythm of Christmas music probably sometime after Christmas. I found some really cool music, and I was like, oh, wow, this is really neat, but it's already January. I should probably stop listening to this. So I brought it back full swing. So let me talk a little bit about what's on this playlist, and we will have a link to it in the show notes. And it could potentially morph between the time you're listening to this video and the time that you check it out. At the top, we have there's a 4-track EP from a band called the Oh Hellos, and it is meant to be listened to in order. There's 4 movements, is what they call them. Movement 1, Movement 2, Movement 3, and Movement 4. And if you listen to it all in a row, they blend together really well. But they don't have... They're not necessarily as continuous as, say, like a Solos album, where if you listen to them on shuffle, it doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel like you're jumping in the middle of a song.
Do you want to talk about each one, or do you want to give like a broad overview first?
I could do that. So that's the Oh Hellos. Then we have Sarah Sparks has an Advent album as well. We have an Advent album by Caroline Cobb. She is one of the singer-songwriters that works with Cardiphonia a lot. We have the Advent album from Poor Bishop Hooper that they released last year. Right in the middle of every psalm, they released a couple different albums on hymns. They were just crazy last year. We have one by Wilder Atkins. I think he's worked with Cardiphonia once or twice, but he's got some other good stuff out there. And Nathan Partain. Nathan Partain is one of the main guys that works with Cardiphonia.
And then more.
And then a couple more Sarah Sparks songs that she has as well. So that's basically what we have. The Oh Hellos, Sarah Sparks, Poor Bishop Hooper, and then some guys that have worked with Cardiphonia.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, Cardiphonia has 2 Advent albums that they have released, and I don't really like either one of them.
I didn't either.
We tried. I just didn't really like them. There are a couple songs I like. There are a couple songs I really, really didn't like. So that's what we have on the playlist now. So I've already kind of talked a little bit about the Oh Hellos. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah. So to give a little background, I used to be really into finding all the indie bands and had a lot of very like kind of like a literary nerd, very picky taste in music. Like when I was in high school and college, and then once I got into reading poetry, I kind of stopped listening to music so much. But I still really appreciate indie bands, and a lot of times I don't really listen to music at all unless it's something Brian like brings to my attention. So when he told me about the Oh Hellos, I was like, I might listen to it, might not. But I actually really liked. I think it's my favorite thing on the playlist is those 4 songs because I mean, every band that thinks that they could make a little money off of it does Silent Night.
Yes,
like they want to make their Christmas album so they can make a little money. But I thought that they did a really good job having these. What is it? Is it 4? Yeah, 4 songs. They blend all together. They're interesting, even though you've heard the songs before. And I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, and each track is a medley of 2 to 3 songs, and it's they typically will play the full song of one, and then kind of a couple snippets of another one, and it jumps around drastically. The first movement has it's a very kind of light, tame first song. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel. And then it jumps into some like really high intense song at the end of it, but it doesn't feel weird. It feels really nice. Like the movement is really cool. Mm-hmm. And then in each one of the songs does something really special musically. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel kitschy at all, and it just feels really, really nice. I highly, highly recommend this album.
I actually wouldn't limit it to being just during Advent.
Yes.
Like I think it's just good,
Yes. And the album is called the Oh Hellos Family Christmas Album. That's the official title for it. Yeah, and that was actually one of the goals is I'm not a big fan of seasonal music.
We'll get into that.
Let's
talk about that after the playlist.
All right. We'll talk about that after the playlist. So the next is Sarah Sparks, and her album is called Advent Part 1. And then she actually has the Part 2 is an Easter album that she has.
We are obsessed with Sarah Sparks.
Yes. Yes. Just a little bit.
Yes. We are obsessed with her. I love her voice. I think she has a really nice kind of indie folksy sounding voice, and I really like. I was pulling out was making the kids' Christmas playlist, which their Christmas playlist is just Christmas seasonal music, and it is separate, very separate from the Advent playlist, and never shall they meet. But I had put some She and Him, Zooey Deschanel Christmas music on there. And I used to like it, but I was listening to her voice compared to Sarah Sparks' voice. It's just not as good. It's so much more. Yeah. Her voice is very affected in a very little bit nasally and trying too hard.
She's a one-trick pony.
She is, yeah. And so I used to really like it, but when I was listening back to back from her music to Sarah Sparks, I was just like, no, Sarah Sparks is better. She is. But so you probably want to talk about 400 Years on there.
Yes. Yeah. So this album, there's some songs you'll be familiar with. God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, O Come, O Come Emmanuel. I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day, which I think that one might be a little bit different than what you normally find. I don't remember. But
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different version.
It's a different version. But 400 Years is probably my favorite song on this album. And it's just a really cool song, and it really captures that Advent spirit about, we've been waiting these 400 years, and for 400 years we heard nothing. And even in like the book of First Maccabees, it says there hasn't been a prophet since Malachi. So God stopped talking to his people for 400 years until the angels came and declared, Christ is here. There was just nothing. There was just silence. So Christmas Here Without You is the first song on there, and that's kind of a sad song. And it starts the whole album. I always find it interesting when albums start with a sad song. We talked about that during the Poor Bishop Hooper review. But
she's not afraid to do sad.
She's not afraid to do sad. She has some excellent laments in her discography.
So I very much enjoyed that too.
Yeah. And this album came out a while ago, but it's new to me. I found it last year whenever I started doing my Sarah Sparks deep dive. But I believe that this album came out in, I guess this came out in 2020. It's not been too long. And then, let's see. The next album on the list is from Caroline Cobb. And it is called A Seed, a Sunrise, Advent to Christmas Songs. And this one came out a couple years ago as well. It came out in 2020. I was already listening to Caroline Cobb when this one came out, so I remember when it came out. So I've been listening to this one. This is my third year to listen to this one.
So you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you've listened through this a lot more than I have. Mm-hmm. But would you say like hers are more straight up versions and less like tinkered with, like the Oh Hellos versions of some of the songs? For
Sarah Sparks or for Caroline Cobb?
Caroline Cobb.
So Caroline Cobb, this one is it's all original.
Oh, they're all original. I didn't even think. Yeah. I listened to it and I just didn't think. So I'm not as attracted to her music as I am some of the other ones. I didn't think she was as interesting.
Yeah, they're very mellow. They're not. Yeah. They're very much like coffee shop songs. Like just kind of. I like the lyrics. Musically, they're not as dynamic.
That said, I do like them for like. I like to just have music going during the day while the kids are playing and while we're doing homeschool and stuff. And so I thought they were nice in the background. Whereas if the Oh Hello stuff was on, it's like, well, I can't really read over that to the kids. So I had to turn that off. So it was nice background music, I thought.
Yeah. Oh Hello's is incredibly dynamic. Like that is a keyword I definitely use to describe it. Whereas Caroline Cobb is more mellow. It's more lyric focused, less instrument and musical focused. But I really like the album. It's very.
I need to give it another listen.
It's very strong theologically, and it just, I like it.
I think I let my obsession with Sarah Sparks cloud over.
It's not as good as the Sarah Sparks album. The Sarah Sparks album is significantly better.
Nothing is. It's good. But so I didn't have anything else I'd want to say about that one, but the Poor Bishop Hooper, I really liked that one in there because I felt like all those, if I'm remembering right, they're all very stripped down and very like, isn't it just her and the piano, most of them?
A lot of them, yeah. Not every one of them. Their O Come, O Come Emmanuel is a little bit more funky. It's got some interesting percussion. But it's all just classic Advent hymns.
Come Thou Long Expected Jesus. I liked that one in there. Her voice is very beautiful as well.
Yeah. Leah. Leah and Jesse. This is a pretty good, typical Poor Bishop Hooper vocals. We have a lot of just Jesse and Leah, and sometimes they sing harmony over their own.
We're also obsessed with Poor Bishop Hooper,
and they know that we are.
Yeah, they know.
So that's nice.
So it's not creepy, right?
But I liked their song choices. Of the Father's Love Begotten is a beautiful song that you don't hear anyone doing. That's a really good one too.
It's very haunting how she sings it.
It's a very haunting song. So Of the Father's Love Begotten was the first time I ever heard that song was in seminary. I had to conduct it, and it is unmetered. And so we had to learn how to conduct an unmetered song. So that one was interesting, and so I always think of that one. And then let's see, yeah, come the long expected Jesus, lo, how a rose ever blooming. O come Emmanuel, and then good Christian friends rejoice.
I love that song. That's a good one. This is a fun song.
Yeah. So
we need to teach that one to the kids.
Yeah. So it's a good, it's just nice song choices, not necessarily your standard choices. O come Emmanuel is, and come the long expected Jesus is, but the other three are just nice little surprises. Very, very pared down. Like this is 5 recordings of Christmas songs that they did while also writing, recording, producing, and releasing a song a week for the Psalms.
But it's nice to have those, like if you listen to this on shuffle, I kind of went back and forth. Like I like to listen to the Oh Hellos all in a row, but then everything else I liked better really in shuffle. And so so I was switching back and forth the whole time. But yeah, I like having the pared down ones. Yeah. In contrast to some of the more dynamic ones. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So they came out with that one last year. So that CD came out in 21. Wilder Atkins. Let's see. This CD is.
I haven't listened to him as much, but I've had several sources tell me that they think his voice sounds like Brian's voice. His style of singing is nothing like your style of singing. It's not. It's more like kind of lazy, relaxed. I don't know. How would you describe that?
Yeah, it's super like chill.
Yeah, it's kind of like he doesn't have half the energy to sing this song.
Right. So the album is called Nativity, and it came out in 2009.
In a good way, I mean.
Yeah, so we kind of were introduced to Wilder Atkins from multiple sources, I think around the same time. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan, but I like his stuff pretty good. And this album is nice. It's a nice, chill, laid back album. Again, this one, like the Caroline Cobb one, it's really good on shuffle. It's got some nice instruments, some nice song choices as well in the bleak midwinter. There were a couple different versions of this song that I had on the playlist at one point in time, and this is the one that won out. And then
I like his "This Is My Father's World."
It is,
but the girls did not like that. When we were teaching them that hymn, I had that on our homeschool playlist, and they rejected it because they thought they were just like, his voice is lazy. We don't like him. Yeah. But I actually kind of like his style.
Yeah, and I like that. It's an unusual choice for an Advent album. This is my Father's world, but Jesus is the creator, and says everything that was created through Christ. And so it's a very appropriate song on an Advent album.
Yep. So yeah, it's all Wilder Atkins.
Yeah, and this is probably the album I've listened through the least. It's the one that I think I decided to add last. Though it wasn't physically the last one I put on there, but I've enjoyed it. It's a good album. The one that I think I was most pleasantly surprised by was the Nathan Partain album. And this album is called The Beauty to Come, and it was released in 2019. So it's not too terribly old, but I wasn't really listening to Nathan Partain when it came out. He is one of the Cardiphonia guys. He's also, what's the church that he's with? Providence? No, it's not Providence.
No,
it's the one that you really like.
I really, really like some of the songs that they do. Reform? Is it something? It's like something, a really basic name, like every Presbyterian church name.
Yeah.
Isn't it like Reform Presbyterian?
I don't think it's quite Reform.
Redeemer. It's
Redeemer.
Yeah. Like every other Presbyterian church. It's Redeemer Presbyterian, I think.
Yeah. And
I really, really like a lot of their music. Not all their music. They have a lot of music, but I like a lot of their stuff. Yeah. So Nathan Partain's kind of new to me, and it is growing on me. At first, I was like, I don't think I like this. Can I take this off? And then
no, you can't take that one off.
And he's like, no, you can't. And so, but I think it's growing on me, and definitely worth listening to.
Yes, and this album, it is absolutely an Advent album. When you sit down and listen to the lyrics, it is absolutely uh, about Advent. I mean, there's a song called "He's on His Way Down." And there's another one,
Emmanuel.
"When the Lord Came Down." Yeah, Emmanuel, we have seen His glory. Um, yeah, so there's arise and shine, your light has come. So the Emmanuel, yeah, there's just a lot of. It's very very Advent, but the musically it doesn't feel. It's not seasonal. This is an Advent album for all year, and that's one of the things I really like about it. My favorite song on the album is called "Glory to God in the Highest," which again is a really solid Advent title. Um, but it doesn't focus the entire song on the Nativity or on the shepherds. It talks about it, but it talks about all of Scripture. It picks
The
three.
one Barnes was singing.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was singing it in the car.
Yeah.
It focuses on four
I
stories.
do like that one.
Three of them are from the Old Testament. It talks about David, it talks about Gideon, and it talks about Jericho.
And normally I hate story songs, but
Yeah.
actually listening to that one a second time, I was like, okay.
Yeah,
But I think I need to give that whole album like a solid listen on its own.
yeah. It's hard when the kids are screaming for candy.
Yeah.
And movies and computer time and all that good stuff. So it's just a really cool. That song is a really really cool song. Glory to God in the highest. And as we said, it's an Advent album, but it's for all year, which is also what we said about the Sarah Sparks album. And that's kind of the theme of this playlist. There's a couple more just Sarah Sparks singles. One's called "Little Child of Mary." One's called, and then her version of "Lo How a Rose Ever Blooming." Both of those are just really nice, so we just put those on as well because I don't know if we told you this, but we're pretty big fans of Sarah Sparks.
Yep. Sarah Sparks, do you want to be on the show?
If you want to be on the show, check your email.
Yes.
If you are listening to this. But yeah, what I really like about this album, the Oh Hellos songs are the most seasonal on here. They're the most more traditional Christmas songs, but especially the rest of this album, it's a good album that you could listen to all year long. It doesn't feel like, why am I listening to this in the middle of June? It's Advent, and Advent isn't. We don't stop waiting for Jesus to come back in January.
It's true.
We should always be saying, "Come, Lord Jesus, come quickly." That's how we end the show. Then that essentially is the heart of Advent is, "Come, Lord Jesus, come quickly." And I feel like this playlist kind of captures that. It is seasonal. It is Advent specific, but it doesn't feel overly so.
Well, so we're talking about seasonal music.
Yeah.
So I always felt like one of the sucky things. Like I'm one of those people that I don't listen to any Christmas music before Thanksgiving ever. Like I just don't. It's wrong. I won't do it. I don't usually. We did a little bit early this year because we were sick, but we typically don't decorate till the day after Thanksgiving either. But when I think about that with church, like all the best hymns are like Christmas hymns,
Yeah.
and then you only have 4 Sundays.
Yep.
And then what if you get the flu one Sunday and you miss that Sunday?
Or 2 Sundays.
Or 2 Sundays. And so you have like those 4 Sundays and you're trying to cram all of the good hymns in there. And I don't see any reason why we can't sing O Come, Emmanuel in July.
Right.
Or God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen.
Yeah, it's another good one.
And so it kind of stinks that it's so relegated to that 1 month,
Yeah. Excuse me.
The water.
I'm good.
We're getting over the flu.
Some of us are. Some of us has just been talking all day. Yeah. So I've said before, I don't really like Christmas music. And really thinking about it, I don't really like seasonal music. I want to have music that I'm going to listen to all year long. I don't want to just wait for December to come and then pop out the Mariah Carey. I don't particularly like Mariah Carey, even in December. But, I would prefer to have one playlist that I'm going to be listening to all year long. And, we get to Christmas and Pentatonics makes its way back out.
Everybody comes out with their version.
Everyone comes
out
out
with
their
their version. So I have
version.
an argument for seasonal music.
Okay.
But I think like religious seasonal music is different than just cultural seasonal music.
I would agree.
So like, I don't want to listen to I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas ever. But if I'm going to have to listen to it, like only in December, I don't want to listen to it any other time of the year, ever. I put all of our Christmas books, all of our Christmas DVDs, and any Christmas CDs we might own in our Christmas decoration boxes after Christmas. And I do not take them out of the basement until it is Christmas time again. Because we don't do that. If we're at the library and they pick up a Christmas book, I said, no, put it back. We're not reading it.
It's not Christmas.
We're not reading it. But I think like that's different than religious, like Advent music.
Right.
I think Advent, like you're right. Like we are waiting for Christ all year long. So there's no reason we can't listen to that all year long.
Yeah.
But cultural seasonal music is very different.
Cultural seasonal music is very different. And I'm not saying there's not a time or a place for it. What I'm saying is I don't like it.
None of it.
I like how I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. That is the best non-religious Christmas song.
The Peanuts theme song is the best non-religious.
You can listen to that anytime. There's not even words.
But
also, it makes me sad.
Well, it's supposed to be a little sad because Christmas is a little sad.
It makes me think of Arrested Development. And
I feel like it's so good because it is a little bit sad.
Yeah, I would agree. But I also think you could listen to the Peanuts Christmas album any day of the year. Anytime.
No, I think it's wrong. It has a Christmas feeling. It's wrong. I think that I actually do enjoy Christmas seasonal music.
And that's fair. You're entitled to
your opinion. I like Run, Run, Rudolph. I do like it.
Run, Run, Rudolph. Santa
the
Claus
original one. I do like it. And I like
Rocking
Around the Christmas Tree. I sing it all the time.
Are you going to like it after this year?
Why after this year? Oh, because of the little toy we have.
Because the toy that sings
we were
the
gifted
song.
A little toy that sings that.
We were given one of those amazing...
They'll break it before the end of the season.
Yeah, one of those amazing toy gifts that's a Christmas tree.
They broke the other one last year,
quickly.
So they'll break this one. Yeah, I actually do enjoy seasonal music. And I think it goes along with like, and you're going to laugh at me for this, but do we decorate seasonally? I mean, I'm very minimal about how much I decorate. Yeah. We do have a Christmas tree up.
Do we decorate? Technically.
I mean, I have like 3 things on the mantle. We do have some decorations up.
We do.
But, we decorate our house seasonally. I think it's okay to put out some seasonal music.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trash Christmas music, though.
There's a lot of trash.
Because it makes so much money. And some people will buy any Christmas music.
It's like the Lauren Daigle Christmas album where there's...
It was really bad.
It's so bad, but it was like
Sorry, Lauren
so
Daigle,
popular.
If you're listening to this.
It was
so
she
knows
popular.
It was bad. You know she does.
You know she does. She phoned that thing in.
It was so bad.
But like there's the weird trombone.
Yeah, it was really weird.
That album is just bad. It's just bad. We were gifted that as well.
Yeah.
And then our kids really enjoyed it. So they listened to it over and over again.
Until we lost it.
Until we...
Mom lost it.
It was gone now. I'm sorry, babe. I don't know where it is.
It's the good thing about CDs.
It is.
You can lose them.
So I'm not saying there's not a time and place for Christmas music. I'm not going to say I'm not going to sing, like sit and sing along with it, and that there might be a moment where like, yeah, it's a good day for Christmas music. But just in general, it's just I'm not the biggest fan.
I think that I think it's a really ancient thing of marking the seasons. Like there's folk songs, harvest songs, like harvest festivals. And so I think it's a very natural human thing to want to like mark different times of the year.
Yeah.
And so you've got your Christmas music and your Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And some people like them all year long, but I don't.
And I feel very, very differently about Christmas movies than I do about Christmas music. So this isn't like every sort of Christmas seasonal medium. It's just music for me. And and I think that it just has to do with, I think it probably really has to do with the oversaturation.
What's the matter? Oh, can you pause it?
So, as I was saying, I think that one of the things that I don't like about the Christmas music is just there is this oversaturation in the market. Everyone is making Christmas music, and it feels like it's all about the money. And I think for a lot of it, it is, and it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
They're all required to feel
Yeah,
to do the one Christmas album
yeah,
because they know it'll sell.
I know it'll sell.
So
Everyone buys Christmas albums, and they just to listen to them once a year.
Well, and the Lauren Daigle one was so bad because she's got a unique style.
Yeah.
And then the album was not unique at all.
It wasn't. It
was
reminds
her voice,
me,
but that was it.
If you remember the movie, the Pitch Perfect 2.
Right.
The second one where Snoop Dogg was trying to make a Christmas album.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, this is just a boring Christmas album. It's just a Snoop Dogg singing a boring Christmas album.
Right.
And it was like a plot point in the movie.
Yeah. It's kind of like when like all the Christian bands started covering like
the worship music.
The worship music.
In 1999.
And and they each had their version of the different worship music, and it was just because it will sell.
Yeah.
And so.
Thanks for letting me go down. I'm not scared anymore.
Okay.
All right.
Junior,
good night,
sister. Night, sweetie.
And
night.
And so, yeah, it just feels like it's all about the money, even though some of it's probably genuine, but it just feels like it's all about the money, and it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
I remember in seminary, one of my teachers was telling a story about how a previous student had written one Christmas song that got recorded by someone and then got recorded by someone else. He ended up making $1 million off of writing one song. So if you can write one Christmas song and make it big, you can retire.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a train of thought. I was thinking about skip it. I don't remember.
Just,
I don't remember.
Yeah. I remember when Zach Williams signed his contract, part of his contract was, and you will write a Christmas song. It was just in his original contract for the first album.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Yep. So I was giving She and Him another listen, and this is like an old album. I think I listened to it in like college. And I mean, it didn't hold up to Sarah Sparks, not only because of the voice, but because it's just like godless.
It is.
It's just like there's nothing about Jesus at all. And so while I think like the seasonal music can be fun, it's like only so much of it. And then I'm like, okay, but what is this all actually about?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What is Santa about?
Yeah.
Santa is about presents and this godless morality. You know,
parties.
Yeah. We teach our kids to be good. And if they're good, they'll get toys. And if they're bad, they get coal. And it has nothing to do
We don't teach our kids that.
We don't teach our kids that. No, we teach them about Krampus.
No, we don't.
We don't teach them about Krampus. Krampus is, if you're good, you get toys. If you're bad, Krampus comes and eats you. That is a real thing. I didn't make it up.
Our kids don't believe in Santa.
No, they don't. Because they believe in Jesus. And the reason for the season is Jesus came. And he didn't come to be a baby.
No.
He came to grow. And to grow in wisdom and stature and favor with God and with man. And to live a perfect life so that he could die. So that we could be imputed with his righteousness. Mm-hmm. And that's why we celebrate Christmas, is not because of his birth, but because of his death. And so just this over seasonal, like, it's all about Santa and it's all about toys and it's all about family. You know, family is not the reason for Christmas.
No,
it's not. Jesus is, and not because he was a baby, but because he died for our sins.
Well said.
And so with that, I say, come, Lord Jesus, come quickly.